So spawning down in the bottom right hand position of Frost in game number 1 of this best of 5, representing my insanity, it is the blue Terran player, JJakji. And his opponent, in the top left, the purple Protoss player, representing GG, Majestic. Frost, big map, cross spawns, and PvT is a very fun matchup at the moment. Most people, the general consensus, the community meta, so to speak, is that, oh my goodness, Protoss players imber. But this is potentially go for JJakji nowadays, not go for SC2. JJakji dominating all throughout. Just incredibly strong at the moment, living in, of course, the My Insanity team house in Europe, and he's ranked number 2 overall in Aligulac, which anyone who's been tuning in for a while will have heard me say multiple times. JJakji, of course, is kind of the hope against Terran at the moment, and he is pretty massively favoured to take this best of 5. I just typed the players into Aligulac, and JJakji has been given a 95.8% win chance in this best of 5. He has over a 55% chance to go 3-0, and I think that's quite a conservative estimate, because no disrespect to Majestic, but JJakji is a stunningly good player. One of the most talented people residing within Europe at the moment at StarCraft 2 that is known about, and is a real contender for all of WCS EU right now. So it's going to be very good to see what happens. For the moment though, we're seeing a 4 probe opening in gas coming down from Majestic, so he's not rushing out tech, no proxy Stargates or anything like that. Meanwhile, JJakji, he's just opened with 1 Reaper, and probably going to be continuing on with that. Frost is a good map for Reapers. There's a decent amount of cliff area you can use. Just going to be poking in, trying to be annoying, catching a Protoss player off guard who maybe was a little too greedy and opted to skip out a Zealot, or maybe delayed their mothership core a bit. Can always be nice. If the Reaper did go straight over there, it'd always be fun times. But for the moment, we just see JJakji expanding off the back of this, adding in a reactor, so just a single Reaper, mainly just for scouting information now. Is going to realise that his opponent's in cross spawns, which actually benefits Majestic mainly because it means that he will have time, plenty of time to get out that mothership core. Of course, if he was spawning down in the bottom left and JJakji came bouncing on in, he would actually get a couple of shots off before the mothership core finished. And with the Zealot being skipped, that wouldn't have been fun times. So, all together now, we're in a very normal position. 4 minutes into this game, nothing crazy has happened. We're probably going to get to like 7 minutes into this game, and unless someone makes some pretty big blunders, not too much is going to be going on. Just a tech up, big reveal on their tech paths, what they're aiming to do, and most likely what we'll see is JJakji predominantly gunning towards a bio composition, Marine Marauder medevac, and the big question is really what we're going to be seeing out from Majestic. The Twilight Council has been spotted. That is a big scout for JJakji. May even try and run back around with that Reaper again to see if it gets cancelled, because boom, down it goes, Stargate switching it up. And this is really what JJakji wanted to try and understand, because the Twilight Council has 2 possible routes out of it. For a start, there's kind of a blink play, which can be very solid up against Terran players, or it could be going up into a Templar Archives and Storm, something like that. Very different to what a Stargate is, and what's going to be hitting and what you need to defend against it. So JJakji isn't able at the moment to get back in, may opt to use a scan. There's also, of course, the Dark Shrine that could have come down. I didn't include that because it's a lot less common currently up against Terran due to scans and stuff being so readily available for detection. But yeah, I'd say for the most part, JJakji needs to get back in and get this scanning information. Are we going to see an Oracle out of this? No, it's going to be a Phoenix. More long-term potential to harass with, just generally quite irritating. Start lifting workers, shipping them apart, picking off reinforcements as they come through. But also if JJakji were to invest in a couple of tanks, that's where Phoenix can also play a beautiful role, lifting those. So robotic facility is coming through. The Reaper does die. That's always a bit of a nightmare if your Reaper dies. No more scouting information for JJakji. A second Phoenix on its way through. And this robotic facility should be pumping out an observer fairly early. But look at this from JJakji. Stim, half done. factory nearly finished. He's adding in a single engineering bay for +1 infantry weapons. And he's actually sitting here with a relatively scary force. Won't be moving out quite yet, should ideally add in 2 medevacs before he moves across, unless he's just baiting for the photon overcharge. But still, threatening times nonetheless. Gotta keep a close peek on exactly what Majestic does. Adding in a forge, which is quite an interesting choice, especially when he's invested in this Stargate quite early. The first 2 Phoenix now moving out, but already missile turrets coming down for JJakji. Just the one of the natural, but a good number of Marines sitting in the main. Third Phoenix going to be going to join his brethren to move out, go and try and harass and be a little bit annoying. For the moment, Majestic hasn't scouted at all. He knows his opponent's in the bottom right after moving over to the top right with those Phoenix, but he has no clue at all what JJakji's doing. And the main reason that's a viable thing and not scouting up until like 8 minutes 30 realistically is that JJakji has limited options on what he can actually do here. One Phoenix taking quite a bit of damage has to back away. Only 12 HP there. Robotics Bay coming down, Colossus going to be hitting the field shortly. +1 armor is on its way out here for Majestic, whereas +1 infantry attack on its way down for JJakji. He's about 40 seconds ahead of this, and what we're going to be keeping an eye on is where Chrono Boosts are spent. Currently they're being spent on a Stargate, but that can switch up fairly soon. JJakji moving across the map now. His first 2 medevacs should be about to pop out. Oh, actually, no, they've had to back away. The Phoenix coming over. Of course, this is one of the key benefits of those Phoenix, is denying medevacs. It's something which a lot of Protoss players have been having fun with recently, and if you knock those out, it's incredibly challenging for the infantry to be able to achieve anything at all, because stims become a very precious resource as opposed to something which can always be triggered. A couple of force fields go down though. Stalker will die, and there's a small gap. That wasn't a good start for Majestic. The photon overcharge is going to come down. A sentry dies. Definitely worth losing a Marauder for a Stalker and a sentry. Medevacs trying to sneak through. The Phoenix aren't going to be able to engage too well there. Photon overcharge has been baited. There's enough energy for another one though. A lift into the main is a possibility, and I think that, yeah, that's what JJakji's going to be going for. No vision over to this corner. Always good to put pylons at the edge of your base just to try and avoid things like this catching you off guard. JJakji elevating up all the rest of his units. Will now reveal that they're there. Majestic pulling back. Photon overcharge still active. Couple of Marines moving on in. Photon overcharge can go down in the main, but it doesn't cover the entire main base. Time Warp being used instead. Nice spread though from JJakji's units. The Mothership Core dies. The sentries and stalkers are going down. The Colossus kiting backwards as quickly as possible, trying to get more damage done, but JJakji, he wants the probes. He wants the guaranteed damage here. Medevacs are going to go down. That means that this infantry can be killed very rapidly without being healed up, especially by the splash of the Colossus. A couple of lifts coming down. The Marines though heading towards the natural base. The lifts actually being used very effectively, but still more workers getting taken out. 17 have died so far. 18 may get a 19th, but I don't think so. And for the moment, Majestic holds. But JJakji, he's already got his 3rd CC coming through. He's up now by 15 workers, plus the mules, which is very substantial. His upgrades are level. He's got +1 armor nearly done, and +2 attack on its way out. So he's starting double upgrades. And we're in a very interesting situation in this game now, where Majestic has got his critical tech out, whereas JJakji doesn't have his counter to that. The Vikings only just starting in production recently, 2 on the field. He's going to need a lot more. The Phoenix, of course, are quite irritating. Vikings fare far better against Phoenix than Phoenix do against Vikings, because, of course, Vikings are armoured, and Phoenix don't deal bonus damage to them. Nice little Widow Mine placement here by JJakji. Trying to pick off a Phoenix that strays around the back, trying to get some sneaky damage done. A couple of SCVs being killed, 5 in total, but up against 18 that he's lost in the probe count really is just a drop in the ocean. Still keeping close watch on any movements, any big plays coming down from either player, but both looking to just prioritize their economy more than anything else at this stage, after JJakji had been very successful with that move out. Phoenix just surviving 3 HP there, only just staying up. Nice little scan comes down. This scan's mainly to see if additional Colossi were still being produced, and JJakji's going to confirm that, which will mean that it'll continue to invest up into these Vikings, most likely. By investing in these Vikings with only the single starport for the moment at least, he's down to only 2 medevacs. With another starport in play though, he can pump out a lot more Vikings very quickly, but it will then want to ideally increase his medevac count just to keep his infantry up and looking perky for as long as possible. Ghost Academy also being added into the mix, because while we don't see a Twilight Council, while we don't see a Templar Archives as of yet, it's certainly a possibility, and late game every Protoss player will get down High Templar for those storms, even if they started off with the Colossus. And even if they don't, having a couple of EMPs is never going to be a bad thing as a Terran player up against Protoss. At worst, knock out shields, and that's always going to be a big hit. So, Viking production really spiking, already up to 10, with 3 more coming out as we speak. And that's actually going up to a very sizable number. Small group of units being kept back at home in case a push was coming out, but Majestic sitting down a little bit in supply, 171 to 145. That's split pretty evenly over the army and the workers. Nice little pick up a couple of Stalkers there. Concussive Shell doing some magic. Nice early trade there for JJakji. Overall resources lost, we can see, are favouring JJakji, but not by as much as you might think. Only about 400 resources at this early stage. Phoenix guarding in case a drop tried to move in towards the natural base. Quick scan just to clear out any observers that may be down. There's Storm getting researched, but that's not going to be done in time if JJakji continues on with the pressure. Trying to find a nice way to move in with those Vikings. Does snipe down a Colossus. Doesn't lose a Viking in the process. Beautiful play coming down from the My Insanity Terran as he secures up his 4th base. Worker count 75 to 66 with the mules. That's basically what things look like. Small little lead there for JJakji. Not actually muling too heavily at the moment, as far as I know. Isn't calling down the mule hammer. Instead, saving most of his energy for some good scans should he need it. But he is nearly mined out in the mine. Mined out in the main, rather. And therefore, needs to look to go to that 4th. Vikings attempting to be picked off, but still so many there regardless. 15 Vikings up against 3 Colossi. Huge use of those hallucinated ones, but in comes the trade. The MP's hitting everything there. So many Zealots getting caught up in that splash. Only a single real Colossus remains for the moment, and that isn't going to survive much longer. JJakji taking a 90 supply lead here, pushing on in. His army supply triple, nearly quadruple that of his opponent, and GG probably going to get called. There we go, JJakji taking game number 1 of this best of 5.